How powerful is Vegito God Killer, Part 2? In the previous video, Vegito managed to defeat Guts, one of the 5 strongest warriors who had been sent by the Grand Priest. But in order to win that fight, Vegito had to make a huge sacrifice. He gave up his humanity and became a Majin. And thanks to that, he was able to come out on top. If you haven't seen the first part of this series on Vegito God Killer, make sure to check it out. But without further delay, let's jump into Part 2. After his battle with Guts, Vegito examines his sword, clearly intrigued because there's a demon sealed inside it. He even tries to destroy it, but fails. Not even going all out can he leave a single scratch on it. That's when Zeno Trunks shows up. He confronts his father from another timeline, calling him out for all the crimes he's committed, especially for killing a god of destruction, which is considered unforgivable. As a time patroller, Trunks declares that it's his duty to stop him. Trunks then transforms into beast mode, but unfortunately, he gets defeated by Vegito using only Super Saiyan 1. And Vegito even states he didn't use more than 1% of his power, which honestly isn't surprising, considering this Vegito has already absorbed the power of Majin Buu and one of the 5 strongest warriors. Right after that, Xeno Goten appears, and immediately they bring Gotenks into the battlefield. And if that wasn't enough, Gotenks starts using Guts' sword, actually giving Vegito some trouble. But in the end, all of their efforts are completely useless. Ultra Vegito is simply on a whole different level. Vegito then turns Gotenks into a chocolate bar, and just as he's about to eat it to absorb all of Beast Gotenks' power, another warrior appears on the battlefield. He introduces himself as Madara, another one of the 5 strongest warriors. Vegito, now in Super Saiyan 3, tries to fight back, but obviously he's no match. With a single slash, Madara completely incapacitates him. At that point, Vegito is forced to use his strongest form, but even that isn't enough. Madara then uses an illusion technique called Eyes of Izuna, trapping Vegito inside a genjutsu. Inside the illusion, Vegito is forced to watch the gods of destruction killing his family over and over again. But thanks to his overwhelming willpower, Vegito breaks free, and when he wakes up, something has changed. His entire body turns black, as if all of his emotions have taken over. Vegito then grabs Guts' sword and finally destroys it, releasing the demon sealed inside. Without hesitation, he absorbs the Demon Emperor, unlocking a brand new transformation. This form resembles Super Saiyan 4, but with a much darker, more demonic appearance. With this new power, Vegito completely overwhelms Madara. Even with abilities like a Susanoo-like form and Amaterasu, Madara stands no chance against the God Killer. And after defeating him, Vegito absorbs both Madara and his Susanoo. At this point, it's safe to say, Vegito, in this new Super Saiyan 4-like form, has become a full-fledged demon.
As you can probably tell, this version of Madara is heavily inspired by the Uchiha from Naruto Shippuden, more specifically, Itachi Uchiha. Let's briefly break down his abilities and how they compare to Itachi's powers. First up is Eyes of Izuna. This is basically a direct counterpart to Itachi's Tsukuyomi, since both abilities trap the opponent inside a powerful illusion. In Tsukuyomi's case, Itachi can fully control everything that happens inside the illusion, including time itself. 1 second in the real world can feel like days, weeks, months, or even years inside the genjutsu. And here's a cool detail. Izuna, in the Naruto universe, is Madara's younger brother, so it's possible that in the Vegito God Killer story, Madara took his brother's eyes as well, which could explain the name of this technique. Another ability Madara uses is Amaterasu, and just like before, it's basically identical to Itachi's version. We're talking about black flames hotter than the sun, flames that can even burn underwater. In other words, there's almost no way to extinguish them. They're basically an instant win condition in battle. The only difference is that Itachi's Amaterasu burns for 3 days and 3 nights, while Madara's version lasts until the user dies in combat. Finally, we have Susanoo, but this one is actually more inspired by Madara Susanoo rather than Itachi's. Itachi's version has the Totsuka blade and the Yata mirror, while Madara's version lacks those and instead uses dual katanas, which is exactly what we see here. So yeah, it's safe to say that the 4th strongest warrior is heavily inspired by both Madara Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha. Now continuing with the story, after defeating Madara, Vegito decides to take a break. Using his staff, he travels to the future of another alternate timeline, specifically Universe 7. But the moment he arrives, he realizes something is very wrong. The entire universe seems empty. And almost instantly, he's attacked by ZAiko, Goku's 3rd son. That's when the fight begins, as Vegito learns that ZAiko is responsible for wiping out all life in those universes. And here's the crazy part. Even not Vegito in Super Saiyan 2 is a match for ZAiko. And keep in mind, this Vegito is already far stronger than the one who fought Beast Gotenks, so it's safe to say that base ZAiko is way beyond Beast Trunks level. In fact, I'd go as far as to say he could easily surpass a god of destruction. I'd even place him above the King of Sadala in Super Saiyan 5, meaning he's slightly above a Mystic Saga Super Saiyan 5. The fight continues, and Vegito is forced to use Super Saiyan Blue to defeat ZAiko at full power. And even though Vegito Blue didn't struggle that much, the fact that he had to use that form at all is a huge feat for ZAiko. But let's dive deeper into how powerful this version of ZAiko really is. We're told that he defeated all the Z-Fighters, including his own father. That alone puts him above Super Saiyan 5 level. But it doesn't stop there. He also defeated Beerus and Whis, which means at the very least, base ZAiko is already stronger than a god of destruction, and at full power, he can even defeat an angel. Being strong enough to one-shot Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, he forced Vegito to use Super Saiyan Blue just to overcome his Berserker form. So at minimum, both of them at this point scale well above Super Saiyan 7, but still below Super Saiyan 8. And that's actually insane, because if you remember at the end of the first Vegito Godkiller video, I mentioned that Vegito, at his strongest at that time, was comparable to around 8 or 9 Super Saiyan 8s, which means this version of ZAiko, even in base, is ridiculously powerful, capable of feats that even his canon version might struggle to replicate. Now, I'm not saying he's stronger than canon ZAiko. We know that canon ZAiko, at full power, could fight on par with Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta AF, or maybe even Super Saiyan 8 Gogeta. And if we go even further, the ZAiko who fought Super Saiyan 16 with Phase 6 and half his soul sacrificed would scale close to Super Saiyan 10 levels. And if we're talking about the absolute strongest version of ZAiko, just look at the one from the Dimensional Tournament, who even achieves Mystic 5 and Super Saiyan God. Even so, the version of ZAiko in this story is still insanely powerful. Now, continuing with the video.
Up to this point, Vegito has gone through 5 massive power-ups. The first one happens when he breaks free from Madara's Tsukuyomi and reveals that new black transformation. With that form, I'd say he reaches Madara's level. Since we don't know the exact gap between them, let's assume this transformation doubles his power. That would put Vegito at around the level of 20 Super Saiyan 8s. Even then, he would still lose to Super Saiyan Gogeta AF from the Hell Saga. The second major power-up comes when Vegito absorbs the Demon Emperor sealed inside Gut's sword, unlocking a form similar to Super Saiyan 4. We're never given an exact multiplier here, or at least I don't remember one being stated, but let's say it boosts his power by at least 10 times. That would put him at the level of around 200 Super Saiyan 8s. At that point, he would surpass Super Saiyan 2 Gogeta AF, but still fall short of Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta AF. The third boost happens when Vegito absorbs Madara's Susanoo. However, according to Vegito himself, this doesn't grant a huge increase, so it's almost negligible. And finally, Vegito absorbs Madara as well. Even then, the boost isn't that significant, since Vegito was already on par with him after unlocking the black transformation. So at most, I'd say Vegito reaches around 300 Super Saiyan 8s at full power, which still isn't enough to beat Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta AF. Now remember, this is just my interpretation. If I missed any power-ups or if there are official multipliers mentioned in the manga that I overlooked, feel free to let me know in the comments. With that said, let's move on to Vegito's next fight against Yamoshi, the third strongest warrior. Once again, Vegito starts off being weaker than his opponent, but there's a reason for that. After multiple consecutive battles where he was pushed to the brink, Vegito is completely exhausted and weakened. Because of this, even his Ultra Demon form is no match for Yamoshi. So Vegito is forced to escape, traveling to another timeline, specifically to the moment where Ultra Instinct Goku is fighting Moro. Right when Goku is about to give Moro a Senzu Bean, Vegito steals it instead, instantly healing himself and restoring all his power. With that, the fight against Yamoshi resumes. Even so, the power gap is still massive. Backed into a corner, Vegito takes a desperate measure. He uses Kaioken multiplied 1,000 times, but even that isn't enough. So he pushes it even further, activating Kaioken multiplied 2,000. The downside? The strain is so intense that his own heart literally explodes. Now, here's the key detail. Vegito can even survive something like that because he's half Majin. That means he can regenerate his body while the Kaioken is tearing it apart. Thanks to that, he regenerates his heart and starts round 2. However, after using Kaioken, Vegito is completely drained. So, instead, he summons Jiren to fight in his place. And surprisingly, Jiren is actually strong enough to defeat Yamoshi. Yamoshi even uses Ultra Instinct, and it still isn't enough. But Jiren holds a grudge against Vegito since he had previously trapped him in the time chamber. So, after the fight, Jiren turns on Vegito and tries to eliminate him as well. But then, something unexpected happens. Ultra Goku appears outside of Vegito's body and convinces Jiren to spare him. And just like that, Jiren leaves. At that point, Vegito is about to absorb Yamoshi. But since Yamoshi is a Saiyan, Vegito comes up with a better idea. A pair of black Potara earrings appears, and he forces Yamoshi to fuse with him. This results in a massive power jump. Now, Vegito in base form is strong enough to defeat Super Saiyan God Yamoshi with ease. And if that wasn't enough, we also see that Goku and Vegeta can now access their Ultra forms as well. Out of pure curiosity, they decide to challenge the God Killer. But as expected, even the two of them combined are no match for Vegito in base form. And honestly, that shouldn't be surprising. Like I mentioned before, Vegito's base form is now stronger than Super Saiyan God Yamoshi. And here's why. If we follow fusion logic, a fusion is always stronger than the maximum power of the individuals that make it up, which means Vegito in base now far surpasses both his previous Super Saiyan 4-like demon form and even Yamoshi at Ultra Instinct level.
Now, let's break down everything that happened in this fight in more detail. At the start, Vegito at his full power was around the level of 300 Super Saiyan 8s. But since that wasn't enough to defeat Yamoshi, Vegito uses Kaioken times 2,000. That would put him at around 600,000 Super Saiyan 8s in terms of raw power. Because of that, I'd say Vegito at Kaioken times 2,000 is at least comparable to Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta AF, which means that at this point in the story, Vegito God Killer would be strong enough to defeat most of the villains in the AF Hell Saga. He would even be capable of opening the gate to the 4th level of Hell, a feat that only Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta was able to accomplish. So yeah, Vegito at Kaioken times 2,000 is definitely on that level. However, he still wouldn't be a match for Super Saiyan 5 ZAiko or Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta. Because of that, Vegito God Killer still wouldn't be able to complete the mission of rescuing ZAiko from Hell. Now here's the important part. Even with all that power, Vegito still couldn't defeat Super Saiyan God Yamoshi. So if Vegito was sitting at around 600,000 Super Saiyan 8s, I'd place Yamoshi somewhere between 700,000 and 800,000 Super Saiyan 8s, which, at least in my opinion, keeps him in a similar range to Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta AF from the Hell Saga. Then Jiren steps in. At full power, Jiren not only defeats Super Saiyan God Yamoshi, he also beats Yamoshi using Ultra Instinct. Because of that, I'd scale Jiren to around Super Saiyan 6 Gogeta AF level. Now, after Vegito is spared by Jiren and fuses with Yamoshi, his power in base form skyrockets to an entirely new tier. At this point, I'd say Vegito Godkiller in base is already slightly above Super Saiyan 6 Gogeta AF. He would be strong enough to fight 2 Super Saiyan 6 level fusions at the same time. But he would still be far below Super Saiyan 7 Gogeta. And well guys, what did you think about today's video? Honestly, I'm really loving this story, and to be real with you, I didn't expect Vegito Godkiller to be this insanely powerful. I seriously can't wait to keep covering this story. Let's set a goal of 3,000 likes to bring the next part of Vegito Godkiller. And remember, this story was created by Calmer J. I'll leave the link to his channel in the description so you can check it out. And that's it for today. Don't forget to like the video and hype it up. It really helps the algorithm push it to more people. Also, drop a comment. It helps a lot and motivates me to keep creating content. And don't forget to follow me on all my social media. I'm imitablecarp, and I'll see you in the next video.